I hope we have a wonderful discussion with Preeti Shenoy, a woman of many parts. She's here as an author, but she's much more than that, as we will discover during the course of this conversation. And it gives me much delight to welcome a person who's, without whose presence, no literary festival is complete. She is an inevitable part of any literature festival in any part of the country, and an author who has behind her 16 novels. That's no mean achievement. I think we can welcome her with a big round of applause and adding much delight to this festival with your presence. I think it is that prolific nature of your work that I would like to begin this conversation with. What keeps you going, Preeti, and what is it that brings crowds to your sessions? What keeps you going as a writer?
First of all, thank you so much, Kerala Literature Festival, for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to come back. I had put up a post on Instagram. I said, Kerala, I'm coming home, because truly it feels like home for me. And most of my books are set in Kerala. Now, what keeps me going? Honestly, I have written ever since the age of 5. Okay, my first book. Can anyone guess at what age it was? First book. Anyone, any number? Just guess. What age? Huh? 12, no. No. Earlier. 7. Okay, I was 7 when I wrote my first book. Wait.
Wow.
Wait, before you all clap. The book was 6 pages, okay? 6 pages was my first book. And that's the maximum I could write, okay? 4 pages I wrote, and then I drew. Rest of it I drew. I still draw. And at that time, I used to think, how could these people write 200, 250 pages? I can write only 4 pages, you know? So that was the beginning of my writing journey. And my father, he was very excited with anything I did. I still have that first book I wrote. Okay, I used to read a lot. I was a very avid reader because it was before the times of smartphones and we didn't even have a television. So my first book, it was a combination inspired from Robert Louis Stevenson and Enid Blyton and all of that. And I had written, and so that was my first. And I was writing when nobody was reading me. Okay, today millions of people are reading me. I'm still a writer. So for me, writing is like breathing. Okay, if I don't write, I don't know what I'll do. Writing is the lens through which I understand the world around me. Because when I write, the thoughts in my head slow down a bit and the world makes sense. So for me, that's what keeps me going, because for me, writing is just a normal part of life. I have been writing diaries for 40 years. Every night before I sleep, I write a page. So for me, writing is just an essential part of who I am, and that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, and that's what adds much delight to the session, because we have for discussion this novel called The Homecoming, which is actually a sequel to an earlier novel called A Place Called Home. Uh, how do we describe this novel? It's a novel about homecoming. It's a romance, as most of Preeti's works are, but it is a different kind of romance. What you have here is not just the return to a brick and mortar home where two people get married and live happily ever after. The romance here is with oneself,
Yeah.
with a journey inwards, with a discovery of one's true purpose in life. I found that really fascinating. You've elevated the genre of romance, I would say, to another level. And that accounts for the large number of readers that you have here, because you're looking for something different in the run-of-the-mill romance, and you have it in Preeti Shenoy's novels.
So most of my books, I try to touch upon a social theme. And I always find it strange when people say I write romance, because in my head, I'm not really writing romance. I'm just writing a story. And sometimes, yes, romance does creep in. Sometimes it doesn't. But mostly what people pick up on, maybe because the feelings are so intense in that book, so people pick up and then they call it a romance. But for me, I explore mental health. For example, Life is What You Make It. Yes, there is romance in it, but it's a story of a girl with a bipolar disorder. And this book, which it's a sequel to Place Called Home, it's the story of social acceptance. Okay, so it's a maid's daughter. She lives in a small, uh, 10 by 6 by 6 room in Delhi. That's her home in Mrs. Shetty's house in Delhi. And Mrs. Shetty decides to send her to the same school as her daughter. So she learns to speak English. She speaks flawless English. But she always has this thing of outside, because in India we never really accept, we do have this classism, casteism, whatever you call it. They are never equal. We'll never serve them at our dining table. So, we used to always keep a separate glass for them. So, all of that struck me as what really, truly is different from me and a maid's daughter, so to speak. It's only because I can speak English, I wear nice clothes. What if she also wore nice clothes, speak English? And this drama, by the way, unfolds in the very complex I'm living in. My residential complex, there are so many people. They have this little house. The entire family lives in a 12 by 12 house, in an outhouse kind of a thing. Their children speak really good English mixed with the other children. And Alka belongs to that, she's on that periphery. So always Alka has hidden who she is. She never tells us students in school that, my mother works as a maid, because she's ashamed of who she is. And how does she find love? In the first book. And from there, she goes on to become the owner of a 400-acre coffee estate. The book is set in Sakleshpur. It's in Karnataka. It's in a coffee estate. So I had done so much research to write it that when I traveled to Coorg, I was talking to the coffee plantation owner. He said, "Madam, are you a coffee planter?" I said, no, I'm a writer. I've just done the research. So I'm very happy that people are able to see the issues beyond romance. I'm happy that my books make a mark in society, make people think. That's always my aim with every book of mine. I want people to think about these issues. And that's what this one does too.
The amount of research that's gone into this work is to be read, to be believed, about the coffee, the CORE, and the work that they do on coffee. We'll come back to that later. But since you already spoke about Alka, Alka is of course the central character in A Place Called Home. You were not quite done with her story. I think that's why you wanted to add this sequel to it. And I think it is here that you find her coming to her own and discovering herself. I would call it a Bildungsroman where, she discovers herself. So why did you want to invest so much more on Alka's character rather than leave her at the threshold of the earlier novel?
See, to be honest, when I wrote the book, okay, it was this massive book. It was this very huge book because I had done so much research. And then my editor said, listen, this will really do well as 2 books. Honestly, that was the reason why it was 2 books, I'm happy to write 600 pages, but then commercial success, because when your books sell millions of copies and when your publishers have invested so much, we need to also price it at a certain price point for people to buy it. So that was the reason it was split into 2. But for me, the Alka is not done yet. Alka and Krish, it's because there's certain characters come back to me. Life is What You Make It. I wrote the sequel after 8 years. I have done research like I would say I can write 14 more books, because each year of her life, she's 22 when she finishes her college in Life is What You Make It, and then she finishes in Wake Up Life is Calling. So next I can write when she goes to office, because we all know, because in the first book it's mentioned she didn't get married to that person. She got married to someone else. So everyone asks what happened in between. So I'll say that's so many books, I have not written it yet. So for me, sometimes the characters come back and sometimes the characters are not done with me yet. So many people have asked me, when are you writing the 3rd part? Because they want Alka and Krish to get together. But here's the problem, Alka is married to Krish's brother. So that's a plot twist, and that comes in the very first book. In The Place Called Home, it begins like that, okay? So the thing is, it's not so easy. So I don't want to write some fantasy where something happens which is not possible. I want my books to be realistic. I want my books where it's possible. So many times in my book, I think we've all been conditioned by this Bollywood of happily ever after, girl and boy meet. Honestly, there's no happily ever after. Once you get married, it's happily difficult after, because marriage is so difficult. I've been married 30 years, so I know. So it's a lot of work. So honestly, I write like in many times in my books, the women don't get married. And people ask me, why didn't they get married? I'm like, why do you need a marriage? Because you can have a marriage and have no relationship. And you can have a fantastic relationship but no marriage. It doesn't matter. Marriage is just that social construct or that license to make it legitimate so that your children inherit your property. And the man is sure that he's raising his children. It's honestly only that. So for me, I try to make my books realistic, and mostly they're not done yet, much like life. Because who puts a full stop to life? There's no full stop to life. So my books mirror life, and that's what I try to capture.
Yeah, and that's spoken like a person of the world. You have a lot of sense. You're quite smart, and you know what's happening in the world. You're very familiar with the business of the publishing industry. Or each word that you uttered just now exudes that that awareness that you have of the world around you. At the same time, each one of your books, I think, has this. The pivotal point is what if. Isn't that what triggers you? That what if? So that those the limitless possibilities that these narratives foreground. That I think is something that one can associate with each one of your works, and what adds that the beauty and the enigma to your work. So, what if? Can I characterize that as your, something that defines your work? What if?
Yes, probably, but not so in my non-fiction. I
Yeah.
have written both fiction and non-fiction. In non-fiction, I have written the book The Magic Mindset. So there's no what if there. So
Yeah.
that time it was
I was referring to fiction. Yeah.
fiction.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Specifically to fiction, yes, the what if very much exists. Because if you look at my book, 100 Little Flames, it's the story, like it begins this way. Okay, the book starts this way. There were two things that happened on Friday evening that changed Ayan's life forever. One, he attended a party thrown by his office. 2,500 kilometers away, in a small village in Kerala, not traceable on Google Maps, his grandfather had a fall. So it immediately draws you in. What are these two things? How did they change Ayan's life? How are they connected? So for me, each of my books is like that. So that explored, because I felt that old people, they have a lot of stories to tell. And I said, what if someone discovered their diary? And to be honest, that was not a what if, it was drawn from real life. Because as a little girl, I would visit my grandfather in Kerala, and he had this massive cupboard full of books. Okay, no other grandchild was allowed to touch those books. Only I was allowed, because I was a very good girl, so to speak. Okay, very meticulous. Books, I'll take it, I'll keep it back. I will not fold any page exactly where I took it. My alternate profession could have been librarian. So I would keep it back. So my grandfather allowed me, but he didn't know that I came across his diaries. So I was not as good as he thought I was. I quietly took those diaries and read, and it was amazing to me because my birth was recorded there. So he wrote, oh, today Priya gave birth to a baby girl. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. So for me, that was the seed of 100 Little Flames, where Ayan discovers his grandfather's diaries, reads it, and the story runs in parallel. So on one side is Ayan's story, modern person who is having this love story. The other side is his grandfather's story, unrequited love. I won't give any more spoilers. You guys, if you have read the book, it's great, 100 Little Flames. If you haven't, I would highly recommend it. Vogue recommended it as a must read the year it came out. So for me, yes. So the what ifs are very much there, but the what ifs are usually based on some real life incident, and it grows from there.
Yeah, and thank you for that growth, for the way you have taken it from that point and woven these beautiful stories. And having listened to your talks, many of which are available on YouTube, I know that you're somebody who's invested heavily in the power of storytelling. Stories take you forward, and stories take your readers forward. Can you tell us about that philosophy of resilience, which is inbuilt in all your narratives through this power of story?
Honestly, I don't set out to write someone who is resilient. But I think by nature, probably I am resilient. I don't know. I draw from that because as a child, my father had a transferable job, and every 3 years we would move. So, and it's cruel. To a child, it is very cruel because you're uprooted. You have to leave all your friends behind. Just then, when the teacher knows your name, you're suddenly going to another environment. You have to start all over again, new friends, new place, new accent, new language. You won't be easily accepted, and kids can be cruel in only the way kids can, so it's very hard. So was I resilient? Probably. Does that seep into my work? Probably. But do I set out to write resilient people? No. But I do believe that no matter what life throws at us, it's important to have that courage. It is important. And for me, my journal, every night I sit and write my diary. For me, that has played a great role. Now, after so many years, they have done research. They say that it's very good. Neuroscience tells us that journaling is one of the best things you can do for your mental health. But I didn't know at that time. So at that time, I was probably building resilience one page at a time. And that has come into my work, like Bindu pointed out. My characters are resilient. Like life throws them, and they're real life people. You'll probably know someone like Alka. You'll know someone like Diksha. You will know someone like Ankita. And people like those real life characters because they can see themselves in it, and they face problems, and they say that my novels make them feel hopeful. They feel, oh, all hope is not lost. They feel happy when they read. And probably it comes from my life. I don't know. It's just a story which comes, which people seem to love.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to when I talked about the power of storytelling, which is something that comes through, it is there, right there, in every page that you write. But we'll come back to the novel. But before that, I think since you referred to the journaling, uh, a good deal of your life now is also devoted to these workshops that you conduct for people who need
Yes.
this kind of writing, a kind of therapy that
Yes.
yeah. So tell us about journaling, the workshops that you conduct, and the responses of the participants.
So I just started conducting these workshops last year because a lot of people said, how do we journal? How do we start? And for me, when I do something, I have to do it properly. It's not that I don't take 100 people, I take only 12 people. So my journal workshops get sold out months in advance. And I don't do it every month because most of the times I'm busy. Like, for example, this month I said, now no more workshops. I'm not taking. So for me, it's genuinely, and people have had amazing experience because for the first time someone is telling them, what do I write? Because every day if you write, oh, I went to office, I did this, I did that, and I came back, it's going to become very boring. So for me, it is a practice which I've sustained over 40 years. And my workshops are like a deep dive into journaling. I announce them on my Instagram. So anyone interested, just check on my Instagram page. Then I also said, okay, I'm able to take only 12 people at a time. What about if I do a guided journal? So that is my latest book, so called. It's a PDF. It can be instantly downloaded. You can just type preeti.io/reset in your browser, RESET. It's called the Reset Journal. So I sat and I wrote a guided prompt. Okay, so it's a PDF. I said because if it's a physical copy, I have to go to the printer, get it printed, I have to go to the publisher. It won't really reach. Whereas online, it's instant. So I said for people who need it, so I divided into into 5 life categories because all that is scientific. Our relationship, our finance, and we have to take stock of where we have been. So I included that section across 5 categories, where you are at present, where you want to go. And all you need is a notebook and a pen. So the journal will tell you, you can write, and you can actually, a lot of people are loving it because it's instant. So So I would like, say just check out the research journal. Links are there all over my Insta also, links are there. For those who want to get into journaling, but only thing is you have to be absolutely honest with yourself. Because journaling is such a thing that if you're dishonest, and one thing which I've discovered is most of us lie to ourselves. Okay, we lie to ourselves because the truth is very uncomfortable. Even I do it. So for me, it was that, oh, I wanted to read more. Oh, but I don't have time because I'm running, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I don't have time. But I discovered that's a lie because suddenly I was made the jury in Author Awards, Times of India. I'm the jury. So I was just telling Bindu, the last 4 days I have read 4 books. I read one book every day, and I'm blown away by how much I can read. And as a child, I used to read a lot. So I suddenly discovered that. So it's all a lie that we tell ourselves that, oh my God, I can't do. We are capable of so much more than we fool ourselves. It's just that we don't like discomfort, so we don't take that action. So this research journal makes you think, and it makes, when you put it down in writing black and white, suddenly it's staring at you, and you can't escape. So it motivates you to act, so it changes lives. So I'm very glad that people are liking it, people are benefiting from it.
Yeah, and I hope many of our youngsters here also will
Yeah.
be enthusiastic enough to take it up and check it out. And it's quite interesting to listen to the way you talk about it. You seem to be at ease with the world of technology, and so where do you pitch yourself as a writer now in this world where AI is taking over even creative jobs?
So I wanted to know how this AI would do. Okay, when it came, I am a huge fan of technology. I love technology. When internet came back in the 90s, I was the first one to get on the super information super highway, so to speak. I was working in that field in Mumbai. And then I said, oh, ChatGPT, great. So what I'll do is I'll give all my characters and I will make it right. Okay, so I went, and this book is When Love Came Calling. I had already written the book was published. After that, ChatGPT came. So I went and I said, Arush is like this. He's born and brought up in the UK. He's never been to Kerala. Pooja is the daughter of a rich businessman. She's complete character sketch I gave. Then I said, you generate a dialogue between Pooja and Divya. It generated, okay, 3 pages. When I read it, it was awful, so insipid. No life also. All perfect sentences. Okay, but so boring because ChatGPT doesn't have that lived experience. So I honestly think ChatGPT can be a great editor. Any of the AI tools, they can be great editors, but they are very poor writers. Very poor writers. And in fact, on my LinkedIn, I put a post. I said, I'm tired of reading similar posts. You can immediately tell it's AI. The moment you read, okay, there will be like 3 things. It's not this, it's that. Then there will be one M dash. And that M dash, the funny part is I love M dashes. And I was using M dash right from when I was writing much before. I have written 17 books. So first book, second book, all of it is there. But now I'm looking at it, I'm getting, oh my God, I don't want people to think it's ChatGPT. Then I said, okay, it was written long before AI came. But you can clearly tell, I feel AI, you can clearly tell, use AI. I'm a huge fan of using AI, but don't, it robs the soul of writing. Even on LinkedIn, I see people writing posts, and they are so boring. You cannot tell one post from the other. See, what makes us human is our imperfections, the way we talk, the way we see the world. And AI is not going to have that. AI is never going to replace that because anyone with half a brain can tell it's AI. And I'm scared that AI will make us dumb. Because now, honestly, for everything you go to AI. Okay, and I see some reels where it was a very interesting reel. So it was this lady. She's saying, this is how I talk to ChatGPT. And ChatGPT is talking in a man's voice, okay? So she says, today I fought with my husband. So ChatGPT says, oh my God, that's okay. You're absolutely right in what you said. Then she says, oh, but I don't know what to do. ChatGPT says, don't worry, we'll figure it out. Shall I go and hit him? So that's just like, validating what she's saying. And I'm so scared because it's very comforting, right? Who doesn't want to hear whatever AI is saying? It's so nice. It's trained to keep you hooked to it. So, as far as possible, I mean, use it, but use it using make a very conscious choice of when you're using it, how you're using it. Don't let it, use it as a tool. Don't use it as a crutch. That's all I would say. It can be a good tool, but and don't become a slave to it. It's a horrible master. Don't make it your master. It can be your servant.
That's wonderful advice. Use it as a tool, but never, exploit it to the extent that you end up losing your individualities. And that's very, and I think in the various facets of your life, one can see that kind of agency that you retain, you hold on to. For example, just to make a beginning into that aspect, the marathons that you have been now become a part of, what keeps you taking up these challenges,
Honestly, that
keeping
running,
yourself grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, I feel very proud of my running. So what happened is I used to run in school, okay? That was 40 years back. So I won prizes in 400 meters, 100 meters and all. One classmate of mine said, he was running marathon and he called me up and he said, run, it's very nice. You will be able to run. Like a fool, I believed him. Okay, I tried running. I hated it. I got so mad. I called him up and I abused him. I said, what is this? I can't run. He's saying, but you used to run in school. I'm like, that was 2 childbirth and 4 decades ago. I cannot run. Running is something I can't do. And I left it at that. I said, I'm not going to become a runner. And I left it. Last year, what happened? I used to go for walks. I said, enough, I'll go for walks and that's enough. And last year, when I was walking, my headphones died. And it's very boring. I'm far from home. I'm some 3 kilometers away from home. So there were these light poles. So I said, I'll do one thing. I'll just run from one light pole to another light pole. That's all. So I discovered I could run. Then I'll walk. Then I'll run. Next day came back, did it again, got hooked to it, discovered there's a science behind it. Because when you run, your brain releases endocannabinoids, which is the substance in cannabis. So you actually, runner's high is true. It's so addictive. Now, then I ran 5 km. After 5 km, I ran 10 km. I was training. I followed a proper training plan. I did strength training because I didn't want to get injured. And I completed 2 half marathons last year, 21 kilometers. So, and at the age of 53, mind you, 53, when people think that you can't do, this is what I said, our brain fools us. It tells us you can't do. And for me, I hate failing. So once I said I'm running half marathon, I have to run because otherwise it's like, oh no, I have failed and I don't like to fail. So come what may, I'll push through, I'll run. And I did run and I got, and the funny part is the more you do the uncomfortable thing, the easier it becomes. Because your brain removes the cognitive load. For example, brushing teeth. None of us get up in the morning, oh my God, I have to brush my teeth today. No, why? Because the cognitive load is off. That's something you have to do. So for me, running became like that. So I have this, plan which I have stuck. So each time I complete, I tick it. We are capable of far more than we think. And I know that because I'm discovering that in my 50s. So for me, that's how all of these things, running, journaling, teaching others. I was always journaling because I said I want to give back something. And then I told my husband, I said, I want to motivate women to run because I suddenly discovered I can run at 52, so why can't people run? Then my husband said, listen, only you will run, okay? Nobody else will run. I said, but they can if they want to. So he said, that's the thing, if they want to. That's what needs to come from them. It can't come from you. Then I said, okay, fine. But if anyone wants to run, I'm more than happy to teach them to run.
Yeah, so this teaching, journaling, and the marathons that you've been taking up, that is exactly what I was referring to, in the way you remain grounded, and retain your autonomy as an individual, as a human being, your agency, you hold on to that. And another aspect that I found in the pages of your books is, again, you as a very connected person, very deeply connected with nature. That's very evident in the way characters like Gauri and Alka, they build up this whole institution. So could you shed some light on that, you as somebody who's very committed to sustainability as a way of life and nature, then the nature lover in you?
Totally, I absolutely. That one of the reasons I love Kerala is so green. The moment the flight is coming over Kerala, it's like green carpets of green. You feel so happy. I live in a very green place in Bangalore. People think I live in Kerala because I keep posting pictures of it. I think the love for nature. My mother loves gardening. It probably came from there. And also, when if my 10th standard, I finished from Kendriya Vidyalaya, IIT Madras. Okay, so IIT Madras has this beautiful campus. It is green, and the school is in the middle of that. And we used to have watch duty in class. Okay, everybody will go for assembly. One boy watch duty will sit, and one girl watch duty. Watch duty was not to keep a watch on whether somebody would steal the possessions. It was because deers would come in and eat the lunch. Okay, that's the thing we grew up. Deer, imagine having deer in the campus. Beautiful, beautiful. So for me, I feel very sad when trees are cut down. The compound next to mine, there was this fantastic rain tree. I cried. They cut it down, and it was such a beautiful tree. 2 days I cried, and even now I get so angry because that stump of the tree they have kept in front of their house. Then they told me they won't cut it, so I was quite happy. But they said, no, no, when we excavated, there's danger of tree falling, and they cut. So for me, I absolutely love nature, and I think sustainability is an extremely important thing. And I do try to depict it in ways through my books, because mostly, yeah, there will always be, like you said, there will always be some nature. Even if it's set in a city, there will be some mention of something. Either there will be that, or there will be some social work. Some, because again, I have worked in that sector. So I have volunteered. I have worked with slum children and all of that. So all of that come into my novels through my characters.
Yeah, so the way that you weave in these issues into these love stories. At one level, they're love stories, but there's so much more to it. That's what I think the readers have been discovering in your works, and that's what brings them to you, and that's what makes you a bestseller too, and a cut above the rest. Let's look at Alka's character now. Alka and some of the other characters. Uh, Let me ask you about marriage. You know, Alka is in a marriage which seems to fulfill all the needs as the world outside looks at it, but she's obviously not yet home. So, what do these novels that you write tell you about marriage itself? What about how does that also does it run parallel to your own life as a person in a marriage? What do you see in this institution called marriage?
Institution of marriage, I feel that's just it. It's just an institution. To understand Alka, I would say you must read A Place Called Home to understand where Alka comes from, because this is the sequel. This is part 2. Part 1 is Place Called Home. So for me, marriage, like I said, you can have a beautiful relationship, not be married to each other. You can be married to each other and have no relationship. So for me, marriage is just I see it as a vehicle to raise children. Because the thing with marriages is every single day something happens to us and we evolve. Now both partners have to evolve at the same rate. If one partner evolves at a different rate and the other partner evolves at a different rate, there is going to be a gap. And I don't see any shame in divorce. Okay, so if you can try to sustain the marriage, but if it's not working out, it's not working out. But that's not to idealize the Western way where divorce rates are high. That's not it. But my point is that there has to be a deep love, there has to be a deep connection, and it's a lot of work. Now, how many people are willing to put in that work? That's the question. So, my own personal life, I have been married 30 years and we have touched a good relationship, but it's also a lot of work. My husband and I are so different from each other, very, very different. But we understand each other, we give each other the space, and I think it's extremely important to give each other the space and to be very proud of where that other person is. So for me, my husband knows no matter what, he has my support. For me, the rock solid person is him. After this session, first thing, just before coming, I took a video in our family group. My husband and 2 children, I have 2 grown-up children. So I posted it there. So for me, that closeness is very important. So do my characters find that in their marriages? I think some of them do, some of them don't. For example, in the rule breakers, mostly people get married under parental pressure. And I did a poll on Instagram. I wanted to know how it is today. Okay? And most of them, 65% of the people who answered the poll said that their parents are telling them to get married. And then the next question I asked was, do they tell you to get married to people from your community or are they okay? Again, about 70% said from our community. So no matter what it is, that pressure, subtle pressure is there. Now, as an individual, both my children, I've told them, you want to get married, get married. Don't want to get married, don't get married. I don't have any desire for grandchildren, playing with them, raising them. And my husband is different. He's saying, no, no, I want grandchild. I'm like, you sit and look after the grandchild. I'm done. I've raised 2 children. I'm done. So for me, that's how I look at marriage. It's essential. It's fantastic if you find the right person and grow together. But if you don't find the right person, if you don't grow together, I think it's a trap. It's totally a trap because then you are bound. Your growth is halted. You can't grow. You can't do what you want. So much freedom is lost. So I feel it's very important to find the right person and take an informed decision and grow together. And once you get married, you have to work at it every day. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Let this go into the journals of many, I hope. Right. I would like to again refer to the present task that you're engaged in as a jury, a member of the jury of a very prestigious award. And I'm sure you have also reflected on your work as your own work. You've made assessments of yourself as a novelist. It's very difficult to categorize your work. It's definitely not the highbrow academic kind of work. It's not out and out black and white feminist works. Even though, of course, the main protagonists in many of your novels are feminists in their own right, but I'm sure nobody has given this the tag of a feminist novel or a highbrow academic novel, nor is it, pure romance in that sense, as I've already pointed out. And again, in one of your interview, in one of the speeches that you delivered at the Sahitya Academy, I think it was quite a revelation that you mentioned 2 writers from Kerala whose work you give special significance to, Nalini Jamila and Kamala Das. That I think spoke to me a great deal about what you see as a writer in your own work and what you look for in the work of others. So this assessment of writing, your own and that of others.
See, for me, when I write a story, it's very simple. I want it to be accessible. Okay, the person should read it and person should be hooked. Person should keep reading it till they finish it. For me, that's very important. And the way I achieve it is sometimes I'll be using these high words. Okay, and then I say, okay, no, I don't want to use this word. I will use this word instead. It has to be relatable. So in my own work, that's what I try to make it. It should be relatable. You should feel deeply. And it should have some meaning. It's not just some light. My work is never light. But at the same time, it hits you. Okay? For me, that's what I think my work is. And like you said, it's very hard to classify my work into this or this or this because I think I am a mixture of all of that and I think my work reflects that. What do I look for in other people's work? Number 1 is the emotional connect that I should feel. Okay, the writing may be beautiful, writing may be fantastic, but if I am not emotionally invested in that character, it becomes a chore to read that book because it's just somebody's thoughts. And I'm investing so much of my life. Remember that when you're reading a book, you're investing 3 hours of your life into it. And I read this book recently, 4,000 Weeks. Okay, beautiful book. Oliver Berkman. We all have 4,000 weeks to live, even if you live up to the age of 90. And those who are in their 50s, 2,000 weeks is already gone. So we have just 2,000. Okay, so what are you doing with your time? So when you're reading a book, you're investing a part of your life in it. And there are so many books to be read. So for me, if the emotional connect is not there, I don't read. I straight away trash it. I tell people, don't read because the author is wasting your time. It's just madness in somebody's head. You should get something out of it. Because you're paying money or buying that book. A lot of people think, oh, I paid money and got that book. But it's boring. Your time is more valuable. So for me, emotional connect is number one. Number two is that writing is important for me. It should be good writing. Because some of the books I see are such bad, terrible writing. I think that time Chat GPT had not come. So probably that's why the writing is like that. So writing has to be good, emotional connect has to be there. It has to be a powerful story. These three things are something I look for. If it's a non-fiction book, again the relatability should be there. Like James Clear, Atomic Habits, millions of copies sold. Why? Because it's useful to people. And so for me, these are the things I look for in others' writing. So it can be their truth, no problem. But tell the truth in such a way that makes people interested in reading more. Don't waste people's time. Like there are these authors who will describe 4 pages. It goes on, goes on, goes on. Most like that's just to show off their writing. So for me, I don't want to read such books which is showing off your writing. You want to show off, no problem. But that reader is not me. Whichever reader it appeals to, no worries.
Yeah. So that's exactly the kind of works that have been coming out from your home, from your pen, Preeti, because as a scene in the fans who keep coming back to you, I'm sure they have questions. We have just 5 minutes remaining now. So I welcome questions from the audience, from Preeti Shenoy's readers.
My name is Rajan. Actually, I'm from Bangalore, but it's Malayali. From migrated to Bangalore and settled in Bangalore. Honestly, I've not read your books, but the way I think I've seen, gone to Google and searched, you have written so many books. Quite impressive. And the talk also is quite impressive. Your views on marriage, your views on the authors and other things like. I'm basically a reader, mostly read English fiction. Dan Brown and Frederick Forsyth. Not read much of Indian novels other than maybe Chetan Bhagat and a few of the Indian Bhagat. Unfortunately, I have not read your book. So maybe a few Malayalam books also. So to be honest, I started writing, I'm 71. So started writing a little bit because in the college I used to write. So the biggest challenge, I think you must have come across the same thing for a writer interested in writing to get published and to be read by the people. Your book may be good, but they should be, people should be, to reach the people. So what's your early experience as a writer? How you kind of overcome that and how you are able to do it? And just a few thoughts. Many of the people here have similar ambitions to write, maybe fiction, non-fiction, whatever it is that. But whenever you write as a beginner, the big publishers even look at you. Okay, I send a manuscript, no, everybody even read it. But then you have to go to a small, publisher. He doesn't have the strength to get it published and known. So how do you kind of, do it, advice or whatever it is like? Thank you.
So my second book, Life is What You Make It, was rejected over 40 times. Okay, second book. I was already a published author. No one wanted to publish it. I got rejected not only in India, I went to UK, got rejected there. Book has today sold more than 1 million copies. Million copies. So the thing is, when you're a writer, you have to be patient. You have to be patient. Publishers are going to take 6 months, 8 months to get back to you. And honestly, people ask me, how do you make a bestseller? If you try to make a book a bestseller, it won't happen. Because you can spend lakhs on marketing, you can get one great cover, but ultimately the book will sell only if people love the book. They go tell their friends about the book. Okay, the book is so good. They go and tell their friends, you must read it, you must read it. So word of mouth, I feel, is the biggest thing. And for new writers, I would say don't get discouraged. Keep writing. If one publisher rejects you, go to another publisher. Whether it's a small publisher, big publisher, doesn't matter. What matters is the truth. You be true to the story you're telling. Write the story in the best way that you can. And I think social media is important. Unfortunately, I have to admit it, because how will people hear about your book? You're living somewhere, you've written a book, how are people going to hear of it? So you have to get okay with talking about your book. But don't be a bore that you only talk about your book and everyone runs away, So yeah, that's about it. And good luck with your writing. And I hope you read my books. Place Called Home and Homecoming.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
I'm Parvati, and I'm 17 years old. So I've never read any of your book, to be honest, but I'll surely read one. Ma'am, the one thing that struck me is the habit of journaling at
Yeah.
age of 15, 50. That's mind blowing. So I've seen many influencers doing journaling, and I thought like it's confined to them. Like nothing special happens in my life. So should I also start journaling? So can you motivate me to start journaling?
Yeah, definitely. See, I've put a lot of posts on Insta. I would just say check it out. And journaling has so many benefits. And I feel influencers give it a bad name, you know. They'll make one aesthetic notebook, they'll put one light, and they will sit and write with beautiful handwriting. Real journaling is not like that. It's messy. It's getting your feelings out there. Maybe one of my workshops, just write to me and maybe attend a workshop you can learn about, but definitely journal. I have written lots about it on my Substack. You can subscribe to my Substack. So one of the articles, preetishenoy.substack.com, it's free. So just go and read that article I've written in detail. And write to me, I always respond. Whoever emails me, I always reply.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
no life is ordinary. You write it and
Yeah.
you will see the precious nature of your own life.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Fashana. Ma'am, I've read a couple of your books, and Life as You Make It is one book I keep referring to or recommending to all my friends and all the people who are, going through stuff. And my question to you is, romance is one element of the story, as Bindu ma'am had mentioned. The major factor of the book is the emotional connection that you feel. So, how much of it is this romance necessary for making it a bestseller, or is it something that is consciously decided from your end? I have not read many of your books, so I don't know if that is there in every other book or not. I just wanted to know if that is like, okay, romance is something that gives us hope, but otherwise, is it a conscious decision to add that to every story that you write?
No, no, not really. Not really. Because see, my non-fiction, there's no romance at all. It's like magic mindset and it's essays and it's not a conscious decision because sometimes, honestly, I've not thought about it. Though I just write the stories that come to me. And romance does come as a theme. You're right. You're right. Most of my books do have romance. So sometimes it's young adult, okay, like when Love Came Calling. And any young person would be lying if they said, no, we don't think about love. No, that's all they think about. Because you're always swiping on Hinge, you're swiping on Bumble, you're trying to find the next person, trying to see if it will last. So I think I get the young people's pulse. And when it's a young person, look, of course, career is there, but romance is there. Young people are not going to sit and think about philosophy. They are more worried about which job should I go next, where should I relocate, can this be my partner, what kind of relationship should I have. So romance does come in, and I don't see that necessarily as a bad thing. It's a part of life. It's great. It's great if it's there, and it's fun to read. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
I'm Janani. I'm a doctoral research student. First of all, I was shocked to hear that Life is What You Make It got rejected from the publishers. I'm 25 now, but the 17-year-old Janani is truly grateful for Ankita and Life is What You Make It.
Wow, thank you so much.
And I really like to know, like, if any of the readers did tell you about their experience on Life is What You Make It, because I really felt hopeful. And I'm very grateful for the women I have become from the teenager girl. So can you share any experience of the readers?
Thank you so much. I get mails every single day. Okay, I'm very grateful to my readers. Thousands of mails, thousands of mails. People tell me that your book saved my life. They tell me that I was going to commit suicide. It's very intense. Okay, for me, I've written a book. I've forgotten about it. Then they'll take some character and they'll say this character did this, and because of that, I felt this in my life, and I'm extremely grateful. So a lot of people do tell me, and each one I reply. There's not a single message which I don't reply. And because I'm really grateful. I'm grateful that they're reading and they're reaching out to me. And I started this, emails twice a month because I said Instagram is all swipe, swipe. And I want to bring this culture where we slow down, where we pay attention. So things like journaling, things like email. So this is free of cost. You guys can go and sign up. Just type preeti.io/desk. Okay, preeti.io/desk, DESK. So I send out thoughtful emails twice a month. Whoever writes to me, I immediately reply back. And yes, I do get a lot of messages, mails, for which I'm extremely grateful. And I feel blessed that my characters actually help people, you know. And I always screenshot it and I send it to my family. And I share only with my family. Because, you know, when I share it, I don't even share. Sometimes I might share on social media with permission because it's something so personal and I feel so grateful. And that's it. Like, I just feel very grateful that my stories have touched people's lives. And thank you for sharing.
Truly gratifying to know that, this has happened.
Hi, my name is Amani. I'm 30 years old. But I would like to tell you that in my teenage, I've read a lot of your books. And Life is What You Make It is the book I started with. And it really changed my life. It was really inspiring. I would like to ask you, what inspired you to write that book?
So for me, at that time, mental health was taboo. Okay, so I had a neighbor whose daughter had, they won't say what the issue is. Okay, she's got a problem. They just call it problem. So I'm like, what is the problem? Okay, why is it such a taboo? And I was living in UK at that time, and I was living in a place called Norwich. So I went for this exhibition, blown away, blown away. I'm also an artist. I draw every day. So I was blown away by these paintings, and I discovered that all these paintings are made by people with bipolar disorder. So I became very interested in it, and I started researching about it. And my landlady at that time was a psychiatric nurse. So through her, I had access to a lot of bipolar patients. When I traveled to India, I went to Nimhans, and I told them I'm writing an article because I was also writing articles for Indian Express at that time. They took me inside the hospital, showed me every place, and for me it was like, oh my God, such a world exists. So I spoke to a lot of people, CMC, Vellore, all of that, doctors, nurses, and I was very interested in bringing out the emotions of how a person feels when they are trapped. Because the second part of that book is Wake Up, Life is Calling. And the tagline is, when your mind is your greatest enemy. When your enemy is outside, you can do something. But imagine your mind telling you stuff. You know, I was fascinated. So I did a lot of research. It was very intense. It was very hard to write Life is What You Make It, which is why it took 8 years to write the sequel. Because I experienced every emotion which the character was going through. And you can feel it. When you read the book, you'll feel it. People tell me they cry when they read the book, you know. My best friend, who is very pragmatic, very practical, nothing moves her, she called up, she said, how did you write this? I'm crying, she said. She said, I'm crying. So for me, that kind of, because I get very involved in everything that I do, you know. I don't do half-measure stuff. I'm very passionate, and that's how I wrote that book, with a lot of research, speaking to a lot of people. And for a brief while living that life of Ankita, and feeling trapped like her.
Let's hope the kind of work that you do, that research that goes into every page that you write, continue to inspire you so that it goes on to inspire your readers, as you have just seen in the session. And I would like to end this beautiful afternoon discussion on the homecoming with a note that this book whispered to me, which is, home is not just a building where you live happily ever after. It is not something that you build on, your past. Being home is having the courage to accept oneself.
Yeah, absolutely.
That sums up this work and most of Preeti's work too. May she continue to inspire her readers with these stories, these novels, and the journaling workshops that she does. And may you have a life as rich as the one that you've been leading, wearing so many hats and excelling in each of those. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bindu. It means so much to me. And thank you guys for being a wonderful audience. I'll be available for book signings in the author signing stall.
See you there.